Well, happy holidays, I guess. I didn't think that 2021 was going to be worse than 2020, but it seems like all the bad stuff from that year is still happening. COVID, political instability, SEMO is still winning Progression Series. Here's to another bad one, I guess. Well, a ho-ho-ho and a happy holiday season. Guess who it is? Me! DECODE TALKER Heatsoul! That's right, the fourth best deck from the 2019 OCG format is here to save Christmas and put a smile on that glum little face. Now let's draw 2 cards a turn. Doesn't that sound swell? Get out! Did I miss something? You don't even know what a sword soul is. Out! But first, I need to tell you about today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. We've been over this beautifully crafted game with over 600 unique champions a few times now, but like Tri-Brigade, it's somehow still as good now as the day it came out. Oh, and if you're just looking for the link, mine's in the description. Anyway, this month Raid has released the latest addition to its huge boss roster, the Hydra. This super-powered clan boss is like many bosses rolled into one. Each head has different mechanics. It can share the pain, scare your champions, rot them from the inside, cloak itself in a cloud of poison, and even fail to make day 2 at the LCS. Oh, I'm actually getting word that the Farfa head was cut late in development. Sorry about that last one. The whole battle is like a tactical puzzle, like navigating a flunder board, except actually fun, and you get a sense of enjoyment at the end of it instead of banned from your locals. You knew what you were doing when you normal summoned that statue, Derek! As you all know by now, I am a huge arena head. I've been playing it kind of relentlessly, and I'm unironically climbing pretty far. I owe a lot of it to my team and to my clan, the PLSS gang, which Raid seems to be letting live for some reason. Raid's also giving away a super limited edition champion to every player in the game, esports legend Simple. Between now and January 28th, Simple is available for free, but you have to log in for 7 days between now and the 28th. If you miss that date, you miss out forever. Just hit that link in the description or scan the QR code right here. New players will get an epic hero Vergis, 200,000 silver, 1 experience boost, an energy refill, and an ancient shard, so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in game. You can find the rewards here in your inbox for the next 30 days only. Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-minute testing. I knew that pulling an Arrival Cyberse at Ignister on Chaos Draft was a sign of something, and lo and behold, just a few days later, Konami revealed one of the most sought-after Link monsters of all time, Shiny DECODE TALKER. This card, and the deck it enables, were positioned to be one of the most competent and powerful control decks of all time in 2019. Let's see if we can make it work in a format with Sword Soul and DPE. Presenting, DECODE TALKER Heatsoul. So here's the list, and Jesus, this is exactly the kind of nonsense I want to get up to. The second that Ghosts 2 comes out, I am one-tricking this. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. Now let's decode some talkers. DECODE TALKER Heatsoul is an enigma of a card. I have no idea why this card is named DECODE TALKER, because it literally does nothing the original card does. Its only relation to its ancestor is its stat line and its link arrows. This bodes well for the card, however, because original DECODE TALKER sucks. Heatsoul does 2 interesting things. It allows you to pay 1,000 life points to draw a card once per turn, and if your life points ever dip below 2,000, you can tag out for a Cyberse-type monster from your extra deck. Realistically, this makes it a decent midpoint for Ad Ignister and not a lot else, but depending on how much copium you're huffing and how selectively you look at OCG meta breakdowns, you can lie to yourself and pretend it's a sufficient cornerstone for a tiered meta deck. The philosophy behind the deck is simple. By laddering using Code Talker's extremely efficient Cyberse monsters, you can make a DECODE TALKER Heatsoul, and usually both a Heatsoul and a Transcode Talker. From there, you can use Heatsoul as an advantage engine, drawing an additional card on your turn and preventing your opponent from ever contesting it with a bevy of trap cards. On your next turn, Access Code Talker's very beneficial name means that it's really easy to make with any additional starters or extenders you picked up off of Heatsoul, and from there it's a couple of effect activations to lethal. It's one note, and it's not particularly adaptable, but what it lacks in flexibility, it makes up for with the gayest Cyberse monster of all time. I mean, he's literally flaming. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up, your normal summons. We're playing 3 copies of Lady Debug because we're on so many really good cyber searches, and 3 copies of Sangan. This is not normal in this list, but I really do think that it's fantastic. It's a great way to get a bevy of really powerful cards into your grip. If you're going first, it of course searches hand traps, but if you don't have enough extenders to make your plays, you can link off for an Almirage and add Backup Secretary, which does not activate when it is summoned. After that, we've got the freebies, 3 copies of Microcoder and 3 copies of Code Generator. Both of these monsters can be used to summon a Code Talker monster from your hand as a link material. Microcoder, when used as material, allows you to add a Cynet spell trap from your deck to your hand, and Code Generator bins a Cyburst type monster. Cyburst Gadget is a follow-up play and very easily accessible. Dotscaper is the card you are usually sending off of Code Generator. Backup Secretary is powerful for the Sangan line, and Math Mech Edition is an additional name that is a free special summon. After that, we've got hand traps, 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, and 3 Effect Veiler. I should mention, it is pretty standard to play a 3rd hand trap, something like a Ghost Bell, but I don't find any of them particularly interesting or good right now, and as a result, I'm not. Keep in mind, though, you might see more success if you're able to find hand traps off of DECODE, TALKER, Heatsoul on your opponent's turn more frequently. After that, we have Pot of Desires, 1 copy of Cynet Mining, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Scapegoat. This was in pretty much every list I looked at, and it's actually quite strong. 3 Infinite Impermanence, 3 Crackdown, 1 Cynet Conflict, searchable of course, 3 Solemn Strike, and 3 Solemn Warning. In the extra, we've got 1 Firewall Dragon for corner cases, double access Code Talker, 1 Security Force Justify. That's a weird card to include in the deck, but keep in mind, it's not just Security Force support, it also is a monster negate. Transcode Talker is of course necessary for a significant amount of your OTKs. DECODE, TALKER, Heatsoul, despite being the namesake of the deck, is only played at 1 copy. Inverted and Code Talker are important because some of your monsters can't be summoned using monsters that have the same attribute as them, so a light and a dark Code Talker that are both Link 2s are pretty important. Double Splash Mage, 1 Security Dragon, 1 Link Spider, 1 Link Disciple, 1 Lingaribo, this comes up quite frequently, and 1 Salamangreat Almirage. A significant amount of these monsters are in here exclusively for Scapegoat, and you might be able to cut them if you were not playing that card. In the side deck, we've got triple Nibiru, triple Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion, triple Droll and Lockbird, triple Anti-Spell Fragrance, 1 Imperial Order, and double Rivalry of Warlords. We are pretty much only playing Cyberses at the end of the day. So, with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Super Quantum. This is about as close as this deck ever comes to bricking. We're going to have to normal summon a copy of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring here, but it's hardly the end of the world. We can go into an Almirage and then use the Microcoder in hand to make a Code Talker. That's going to add a Cynet Mining to hand, which we can use to add a copy of Code Generator, allowing us to link summon a copy of Transcode Talker without committing to any more monsters on board. We'll activate the effect of the Dotscaper that we send off the Code Generator in order to summon itself, then use Transcode Talker to bring back a Code Talker and make a DECODE, TALKER, Heatsoul. We'll go ahead and draw a card. It's a Crackdown, and we'll pass back to our opponent. In draw phase, we'll activate the effect of the Heatsoul to play around Triple Tactics Talents. Our opponent will begin with a copy of Terraforming and followed up with a copy of Pot of Desires. It does not go well, because after drawing, they have to use this 1-for-1 to summon the Alfan from hand. Frustrating. They're going to go for the effect. We will activate Solemn Strike here. Afterwards, they'll special summon this copy of Red Layer and then activate the effect of Red Layer to bring back the Alfan, which they will then normal summon, and then activate the second effect to make a copy of Assembled. This is going to be a Zeus, so I go ahead and fire off this copy of Infinite Impermanence. They set 1 and pass back to us. Now, this is kind of frustrating for us because Assembled Nightingale isn't just a Zeus enabler, it's also a Boku, so we're going to have a weird turn. We're going to go for a Cyberse Gadget here, bringing back a Microcoder, and then go into an Access Code Talker. After resolution of this chain, our opponent's going to activate Called by the Grave, because of course it is not long for this world. After that, we're going to have to find a way to out this Assembled Nightingale, and Security Dragon doesn't destroy, it bounces, so it is perfect. Afterwards, they'll activate the effect of the Red Layer, we'll go to the battle phase, walk over everything, but of course it's not going to amount to anything because they are still under Waboku. In the meantime, we can use the Code Generator to add an addition for next turn, and then set a conflict passing back to our opponent. Man, Microcoder is such a good card. Our opponent's going to draw for turn, we will activate the effect of Heatsoul. We are almost under that 2,000 threshold. They're going to go for a second Pot of Desires. Oh my god. Followed up with a Reasoning for 1, and we miss it. Okay, Diviner of the Heralds does trigger in this case, sending a copy of White Layer to the graveyard and then activating the effect of the White Layer in hand. They can trigger the effect of the White Layer and the Blue Layer in graveyard, shuffling back itself and a copy of Red Layer, and then the White Layer sending the Red Layer to trigger the Red Layer to bring back the White Layer. This is pretty powerful and enables a summon of Underworld, Goddess of the Closed World. Unfortunately, we do have the Crackdown, so it's not really going to matter. They'll pass back to us, and from here it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to lethal. The funniest way to do it is to make an Access Code Talker, targeting the Link 5 monster used for its summon, and get in for 7,300 in 1 hit. Our second match is up against Beetrooper, and this showcases one of the major weaknesses of the deck. Sometimes decks can just special summon ad infinitum, and you only have 3 or 4 pieces of interaction, even on a perfect N board. At the end of the day, though, you can't expect me to beat this deck realistically. I mean, it just got second at an EUYCS, and I'm sure this pilot is just as good. We're going to begin with a copy of Lady Debug. We'll trigger the effect to get a copy of Microcoder to hand. While this hand doesn't have any trap cards in it yet, it should by the end of our combo. We're going to go for the same one we did last time, using the code generator to send a copy of Dotscaper, then making transcode Talker, and using a Microcoder in hand to make a decode Talker Heatsoul. We're hoping for a trap here. Unfortunately, we draw a Sangan instead. We'll pass back to our opponent with a Signet Conflict set. They're going to begin with a copy of Resonance Insect and follow it up with a Pin the Bullseye. They'll activate the effect of the Pin the Bullseye, and then they will make a copy of Nightmare Phoenix before they are locked. That's frustrating. It means we have to burn a copy of Effect Veiler super early, but no big deal. They'll trigger the effect of their monster in graveyard, and then get a Doom Dozer, triggering the effect of the Resonance Insect again. We will decode Talker Heatsoul here. We don't draw a hand trap, and that unfortunately means that this Goki pull has to be responded to with the Signet Conflict. They'll go for Twin Bow here and Armor Horn. We will negate the effect of the Armor Horn to deny them the additional normal summon, but unfortunately they not only have the Papillion in the extra deck, they have the Beetrooper Descent, which means they will have the material necessary to use that token to go into a copy of Pico, which will equip from deck a copy of Resonance Insect. I love that this card just does not have a once per turn anywhere on it. They're going to go for this Sting Lancer here after making Invincible Atlas, then trigger the effect to add a Fly and Sting to hand. From here they can go to battle phase and clear our field, ending on one monster negate, but they are not yet satisfied. They will activate the effect of the Atlas in order to summon from deck a copy of Scout Buggy, trigger the effect of the Scout Buggy for a second Scout Buggy, and overlay for Cicada King. Frustrating. Okay, maybe we can make this work. Pot of Desires is a good one. We're going to begin with a copy of Cyberse Gadget, bringing back the Dotscaper. That'll be negated. Okay, sure. No more Cicada King to worry about. They'll trigger the effect of the Cicada King in order to summon from graveyard a copy of Sting the Poison, which will add a copy of Aeroblast to their hand. We can walk over the Sting, so it's no longer a negate. We'll reborn this copy of Transcode Talker, but unfortunately we don't have the extension necessary to play through the Fly and Sting, and we are dead. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing Sword Soul, and we are going to try our best. They begin with a copy of Moye. I could Veiler the Moye, but I figure they're always going to have a way to Chi-Shao, so it's better for me to just wait for the hard once per turn and negate that. Turns out I am kind of right. They already have the Rhoda in hand, so they will go ahead and fire that off afterwards, get themselves a copy of Longwan, get themselves the Longwan and a token, deal 1200 points to us on the way to a Baroness de Fleur, and then set 2 and pass. This is quite bad. We'll draw for turn. Double Crackdown is interesting. We'll go for a Signet Mining here in order to get a code generator to hand. We'll trigger the effect of the Dotscaper in graveyard, and then go to a Lingaribo, turning off the Infinite Impermanence, but unfortunately not the Chi-Shao for this Lady Debug. No big deal. We could still make Heatsoul using the code generator, and then setting a Microcoder to graveyard. We'll set 2 and pass to our opponent. In draw phase, we'll activate Crackdown. They'll negate, we'll activate Crackdown, and we now own a Baron de Fleur. Feeling pretty good about this one. We'll activate Heatsoul. Of course, it will only trade for the Chi-Shao, but no big deal. I think we could wrap this one up. And then I see the Ecclesia. Okay, so this one is over. They're going to go for a Taya. From here, they can activate Vessel for the Dragon Cycle and send a Vishuddha to the graveyard, activating it to return the Crackdown. Okay, let's go to the next game. So it's time for game 2, and oh! This is going to be a weird one. There is no Link 1 Code Talker, so we will use Code Generator to make a Lingaribo, set 4, and pass the turn, I suppose. We'll activate Anti-Spell Fragrance. I feel pretty good about myself until I realize that there are some hands that just don't have spells. Our opponent's going to go for an Ashana and an Adhara with a Monk of the Tenyi on the field so they can get a Vishuddha from deck. Then afterwards, they'll make a Baxia. That is worth a strike in my opinion. Afterwards, we'll activate the Vishuddha to bounce our other strike, and then Adhara to bring back the Ashana to hand. They'll discard that for a Longwan and activate the effect to get a token. We will activate Crackdown, and they will tribute summon a second Longwan. Okay, fine. They'll make a Changying here. That's maybe not the right move. They're going to attack into our Lingaribo and then pass turn. We might be able to do it from this position. Ooh, that's nice. They'll draw for turn. We will activate Crackdown, and folks, we have reached parity. Their hand is all hand traps. We might be able to do this. Ooh, Dotscaper's a fantastic rip. This might just be the end of the game. We'll go Code Talker and then activate the effect of the Dotscaper. We'll go into a Transcode Talker. We'll use the effect of Transcode Talker to bring back a monster and then make Decode Talker Heatsoul. We'll attack in for a ton of damage and in the battle phase tag out so we can deal the lethal amount of damage to our... Okay, well, Ash Blossom is Ash Blossom. We'll pass back to our opponent, and then at our earliest possible convenience, we will fire off this Decode Talker Heatsoul so we can make ourselves a copy of Security Force Justify, a monster negate. They'll go for Taya and concede. So it's time for that all-important Game 3, and ooh, this is not the hand you want to see going second. All monsters and none of them hand traps. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Ashana. They will go into a Monk of the Tenyi and a Vessel for the Dragon Cycle. Cool, full combo. They'll go for Adhara afterwards, and then use Ashana's effect in order to get a Vishuddha from deck, which they will use for a Baxia. They'll activate Baxia's effect and put this copy of Adhara back on the field to make a Chaofeng with Light. Oh god. Okay, we're going to go for an Ecclesia next, reveal the Sword Soul in our hand, and then activate the Graveyard effect of Adhara to get this copy of Ashana back into our grip. We'll activate the effect of Chi-Shao, and then we will go ahead and activate the effect of Sword Soul Appears so we can get a Longwan. This is everything they could ever want. Here is Qishao, here is Chengying, here is Chaofeng, and 2 back row. Oh, right on time, Ash Blossom. Okay, so we can use the effect of the Sangan in order to get a microcoder. That's more material. We can go into a code talker and then use the code generator to make a transcode talker. We'll go ahead and send a copy of Dotscaper. We can't really afford to play around Blackout too much, but our opponent doesn't seem too excited to activate it. We'll go for the transcode talker. That'll be negated, and that'll trigger the effect of the Changying, eating our entire field, but no big deal. We can still go into Lingaribo and summon a backup secretary. We'll summon an addition as well and then make a Splash Mage. We'll use Splash Mage to get a copy of microcoder. Then we'll make a decode talker Heatsoul, use its effect to draw a card, and then make an access code talker. Wow, Lingaribo really coming in clutch here. We'll activate Access Code Talker, and we immediately hit the Blackout. We'll use the effective Access Code Talker to pop the Chaofeng, and thankfully we have the Ash Blossom for the effect. Then we'll go to the battle phase and clean up the remaining monsters. We will pass back to our opponent, and they don't have a second card for the Moye. Fantastic. We'll draw for turn. A Droll and Lockbird is not what we want to see. We'll activate Access Code Talker, popping that set card, and we will normal summon a Sangan. We do not have anything to link it off into right now. We'll pass back to our opponent, and they fade another draw step. Oh my god, hard the cards be with me. I did not expect we were going to win this one. They will reveal that they had a copy of Cosmic Cyclone set. Ah, fool, I didn't draw a single spell trap this game, and we will get in with Sangan beats. So we're back with the deck, and this one just really makes me sad. It's clearly extremely consistent and competent, but it's got such a low ceiling. If we'd gotten Heatsoul on time, it'd be crazy, but as is, I'm not so sure. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. It's consistent. Any hand makes Heatsoul and usually draws between 1 and 3 trap cards. When you win the die roll, that is usually enough. 2, it's not terrible going second. You've got the ability to ladder exceptionally easily, and against decks like Sword Soul, you sometimes don't even need to commit to 2 monsters on board to play around Blackout. And 3, there's something about playing Sangan in 2021 that just speaks to me. And the cons. 1, like I've alluded to the whole time, its ceiling is really, really low, like Altergeist low. 2, it's not even remotely adaptable. If you're playing against something that resists access code or can remove transcode talker without targeting, you have lost before you play a single card. And 3, it requires you to purchase Ghosts from the Past too. I'm not doing that. All in all, it's an incredibly interesting and powerful deck, but probably a little too one-note to crack into the metagame. So that's that. As always, thanks to my patrons, Chaotic Meatball, Hakuo, AJBYGO, Alex Brea, Author Tsukiyomi, BB Poison, Blackacre, Blue Fanfiction Inc., Busta Waff, GB Gohan, Chipotle Rice, Colin Miller, Crispy, Dan the Man Hoban, Dominic Ernst, Dubs Rewatcher, Frosty, Going Down Swinging, Grant Curry, Hentai Connoisseur, Ikaliba Brote, Indiana Petra, Josh Anderson, King Magic Ruler, Night Mary, Major Rusty, Materiality, Mike Carlotti, Not Witty, Redux, Rocky Hernandez, Rose Lapine, Sarah Routledge, Seeker, Sir Tachyon, Space Condor, Tyler Gaines, Wave Motion Ganon, Your Toes Can't Escape, Adam Gravino, Adrian Bra, Adventure Spence, Aerosol TCG, Afro Ninja 123, Albrecht Edmondson, Alex Dominguez, Alfred Hendricks, Amaranta V, Anarcho-Cameronism, Andrew Benson, Andrew Ferruia, Artemis, Avocado Soup, Fallen Stalin, Benjamin Cole Kierman, Billy Williams, Blake Root, Blair, Brendan Peterson, Brendan Vanderhoof, Brendan Wilton, Break of the Outrage, Brian Craig, C-Stacks, Captain Breadbeard, Brins, Chad Bortz, Caius, Chase Smith, Chorps Away, Christopher Nikado, CJ Alex, Cleveland, Cloud Mushroom, Cole Schulian, Colin Gustafson, Control for the Win, Crazy Wizza, Daffy Deathclock, Dan Schwer, Daniel Baldwin, Danny Guadalupe, Darcy Tevz, Darla Keys, Dave Lucy, David Hernandez, Dive Missile, Dogma, Donut 235, Dr. Batman, Dr. Kilometer, Dying Eyes, Distrin, Emily V, Emperor Stove, Ernesto Ibarra, Ethan Brown, Farah, Fisker Whiskers, FUTR, Galactic Frozer, Gavin K, Griever, Hank Cheesecake, Harold Ikaza, Haroof, How to Lose, Josemina, Hunter Smith, Hunter ZC, Hugh Mayer, I Have Nothing But Contempt for This Court, Incredibly Slow, Isaac Jackson, J Chip Show, Jalen Ya, Jason Leonard, Jay Gordon, Jeff Leonard, Jell, Jesse Cox, Jita Yoon, Jonathan Wallace, Jordan Gutman, Jose Luis Cortez, Julia Chulian, Callie, Kendall Fear, Kiffin Arshaway, Corey Hess, Lake Bayer, Lawrence, Light Knight, Lucas Engels, Lucas Geardas, Lucas BRB, Lucy loses 8,000 life points, Lucas Arizo Hansen, Magnus 7A, Jesticat 93, Major Duncan, Marcello, Matthew Taylor, MBT's toes will not suck themselves. Merp, Mezzo Emrys, Michael Marks, Miles Edgelord, Miss Ally Fortune, Mr. Ease, Nick Extreme 99, Nice Toraro, Nico, Niru Soup, Nitro Skull, Nix Dolores, Noted Pop, Noom, 03, Ocean McCool, Olympus, Omase, Austrin, Osmaniac, Partu, Pasho Bon the Otter, Pizer, Picnic Blasted, Pig, Pisty Won't Get Banned, Copium, Precise Bike 13, Pro FP2, Pro Hunter 69, Chrono, Ragna, Raska, Revolver Did Nothing Wrong, Rick Martin, Ross Rumelhart, Roz Yu-Gi-Oh, Rune, Syra, Sam Pinney, Sapphic Ashley, Scrafted, Sean Deal, Sean Flynn, Second, Sendoria, Seraphine, Shareable Carcass, Shy, Spencer Kennedy, SSJ Imagine Slayer, Standards Objective, Steve McMullen, Swinkles, Tate Rosencutter, The Carl Knoxley, The RJB0, The Saucy Pickle, Thought Auditor, Time Lord Omega, Violet Prison, Watson, Why Am I Here, Will Elliott, Wonder Hess, Yodelehi Who, You're Doing Great Joseph, Yuri's Best, Yuki A, and D's nuts. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing. And if you want to be part of the process, consider following me on Twitch as well. See you next time.